Welcome back on Diorama. Today I want to propose you a video about the unboxing review about the second volume of the campaign of the Dawnbringer Crusades. So that this is about the reign of the brute. If you want to see about the first book, that is the Harbinger one, you can find the link in the description. I created also a playlist about the background so that you can find everything about, because I'll mainly describe about the background in this book. Still, we had to see about what are the inside. Sincerely, I quite appreciate such book, and it's really quite amazing one. So nice. And now we can open this and go to see about such quite intriguing campaign. Here we can find this, that it's technically a city of Sigmar, so it's always quite nice to see, because it's a way to put you in the position to admire. Here we can find a bit of the previous book, this one, and also the future ones, because there are also some questions about what will happen with the events that we are going to see about such campaign. Then we can see that here there is a sort of summary about the realization and the involvement of the cities of Sigmar, and the presence about the two principal crusades that are from Aqshy and Ghyran, that are from the same source. So this is called the twin-tailed crusade, because they start both from Emerald, one from the Emerald Aqshy and the other from the Emerald Ghyran. And so we can find that this here in this book we can see two different Dawnbringer crusades, and how these crusades progress both in Aqshy and Ghyran. So the name of twin-tailed crusade itself. So here we can see that there are numerous enemies from the Greenskin, Chaos and other ones, and here are all converging to block, or because they want or because it's indirectly, stop this crusade one in the fire and blood. So here we can see the closure with an interrogative about these crusades and how they will go to develop. With the contents we can find the list of the contents and anticipations of the quantity of rules that you can find inside here. Moreover, if you think that there is a third of the total pages of this book that are related about army rules, so it will be quite interesting. And it's also interesting to see in the opponent page that there are also models that will be going to be released with such release of the bottom of the cities of Sigmar, that it's one of the main theme inside here, because it's about the Dawnbringer Crusades, and those about the truths that are related about such Dawnbringer Crusade Book 2. In Words of the Dawn, we can find that in the box under the icon of the Stormcast, we can find a comment typical about the Prime Commander of Emerald, and it's really characteristic about the generals focus only on what they have to do and nothing else, because it says that no meaningful victory has ever been won without sacrifice. And this, it's really something that you can think you have read in something later about the First World War eventually. So we can find that in general it is presented how it is the contents about the books from the background, that it's mainly related about the expedition, the crusades themselves, that are the twin-tailed crusades, and the enemies that this should be going against, that are about the environment, the Flesh-Eater Kurz, the Orlux, and the Nargon in Primis. And so it's really quite intriguing about this. Then we can see how it is brought about the events that has been brought in the Broken Realm Kragnos, but they are still rampant. So that we can see about the Troll Trugg, the Trugg King in Aqshy, and the Sons of Behemoth Brodd, the Prophet of the World Titan. This coming even from before, from the Realm Gate Wars in Ghyran, this time about Brodd, that are going to block the events about this twin-tailed crusade. You have also to remember that inside here there will be also the rules about the new charters and the Army of Renown that are officially usable without any problem. And I think that they will be also available also when this book will finish to be worth, when there will be the release about the third book about of this campaign. And this it's because we've seen such same thing about the first book that has seen the same about, so that are still valid about the datasheets and so on. And we can also notice that there's been the release about the Battle of the Orcs, that it's practically contemporary released with this one, so the rules should be the same, but pay attention eventually. Remember that if you want to play about these ones, you have these rules available. And obviously there is also the part related about the Path to Glory to play with the campaign itself, that it's brought with these books because it's a book about the campaign itself. So obviously there is also in the box on the side the propose about buying the core book, because you can use this to have the other rules to play the Path to Glory and so on, and have a general book to the referral about the rules themselves. And it's obviously quite useful if you are not having the book itself. In the Twin-Tailed Crusade, we can find it's the summarizing of what happened in Broken Realms and the Dawnbringer Crusade Book 1 at Hammeral, and how the cities of Sigmar has reacted to what happened, creating the Twin-Tailed Crusade. And there are also cited two of the charters, main ones, that are from the Book 1, that are Haniver Toll and Armandus Callis. And it's quite interesting about this. So we can find that here there is the strength and numbers which has been created and brought up the Crusades, or better, the Crusades. And so it's also discussed about how it's the dub that it's have sense to be created and brought up such one, because there is quite too fast to do such things. And even if even more and more people go to grasp the coin Malleus, to go on the crusade, and to remember that coin Malleus, it's that coin that has on it the Malleus symbol, and let you, if the crusade has success, to claim a bit of the citizenship and territories that the new city has when it's created. So you have to remember that it's quite important about moreover the pools of that are going to participate the crusade and are in the actual city. So in the next box we can find that there is a prophecy that it's really about the sort of the Twin-Tailed Crusade, cite about it, and this what happened for both of these ones, so that one of the city will be successful and the other will be riven. So one city should rise and one should be riven. It's really quite interesting about this. At the end we can find a sort of little box that bring you the dialogue about Toll and Callis that we have cited before, and this make you see the perception that different people has of such crusade, because they are discussing about if it's really right or not to do such one, and it's really quite intriguing to read. With Fire and Fury we can see the beginning of the crusade for side Aqshy. We can find this from the angle that has the symbol and the core of Aqshy itself eventually. The expedition, the crusade, it's led by first Marshal Talia Vedra, that tried to arrive first to destination, then the counterpart related about Ghyran, and it decided to lead personally the expedition, and it used first marches to be able to arrive first, but it makes so that it can unify the soldiers themselves, being present everywhere it's needed. So it's really quite nice as leader itself, this Vedra. And as vanguard of this crusade we can find Pontifex Zenestra, that it's the leader of the zealots of the cult Umberogen. The expedition arrived to the Vale of Ash, where it finds the first real battle against the orcs, and so it deployed the shooting weapons, because you have to remember that Hammer Aqshy it's one of the main source of the arsenal about war, about the shooting weapons itself and so on. So it's really quite important as information. And Vedra itself move on the battlefield itself with its own manticore, and you can see about Vedra itself in the artwork that it's on the side, where you can find one of the new models that has been brought with the battleton of the cities of Sigmar, and so it represents the riding of the manticore itself. The victory is immediately cooled down from the news that arrive from Hammer Aqshy, that are brought from the Whisperblade Hercus Yalta, that brings news that after the expedition, the crusade has moved out from the city of Hammer Aqshy, has seen the city itself sieged by a force of the Cornet host, and it's vexed from the catacombs from attacks made by the Skaven themselves. Vedra is so forced to divide the expedition and come back to the Hammer Aqshy to bring her support to avoid the siege and so on, to break it. And so it leaves the destiny of the Dawnbringer Crusades to itself. Here we can see a foresight of what we've seen in what it was said in the previous page. It's up to see in this book and maybe in the next ones. Then we have Rise of Trugg. Here we can see what happens when you wake up abruptly someone that is sleeping really calm, tranquil and so on, with molest noises. So here we can see what happened in the Broken Realm Belako and Dawnbringer Crusade Book 1. In fact, we can find that from the plane of Ghyran, where Trugg it's really serenely sleepy and so on, it's pacific, it's really tranquil one, it's only sleeping, it doesn't mind anyone else. And with the ritual of Alariel, it's a bit shaken, but then it arrives Bragit Big Tolka, the Harbinger that we see in the book 1 of the Dawnbringer Crusades. And here we can find that Big Tolka find out about the gigantic troll that eats Trugg, and he tried to wake up, and really it's able to wake up a troll from so much noise it do. And so then Big Tolka Bragit escape from the Realm Gate that from Ghyran bring up to Aqshy, and Trugg follow him to break the one that it's the cause of the various noise that hear. And while it follow the Bragit one, so the source of those noises that make him have a lot big headaches. So think about someone that has been awakened really badly and try to fall back to sleep, but there is something that still ring in the ears, making him headaches big ones. And so it arrived Trugg to Aqshy, and cause Trugg it's bring up from the different geometric lines and so the magic lines that are the realm gates. So it followed them to find those noises places and shut them down. So it's really quite intriguing about this. And so it arrived to the various Magadron of the Faceless, and it destroyed one after one those Magadron. And the force and energy that Trugg emanate bring other trolls from Aqshy to wake up and follow him. And here you can find the link what we've seen in the Hammer Aqshy about the Faceless in the book 1 that are caused by these events of Trugg. So it's all linked about this. And so after the Magadon has been the turn of the Hammer Aqshy as the main objective about Trugg, but there are some steps in the middle. So while Bragit Big Tolka escape to Hammer Aqshy and brag about they having made some type of mess, and in some way it has also reason to brag because it had done really it. In the will turns, we can find the consequences about the separation of first Marshal Vedra from the expedition. And here it's both for the charismatic presence of Vedra itself, because it's a really charismatic leader, and also because Vedra has brought with her a fifth of the forces of the Crusade to bring them back with her to break the siege of Aqshy. So it's really quite important, the separation. And to lead the Crusade has been left Frigiled Marshal Daridan Marcon, that should be a capable general. Marshal Marcon, anyway, see that its command has been step by step shifted toward Pontifer Zenestra, that herself see the responsibility to bring up the expedition because Vedra has left. And you can see image about Zenestra, Pontifer Zenestra, in the image on the side of the book. And here you can find the fanaticism that step by step spread, and really you make see that there is the disassembly about the chariots and so on, to use the wheels as symbol of the wheel. And so here it's almost a convincing of Marshal Marcon in some occasions about it's quite Durgin. And in the box aside, we can see also how much are having strength the words of Pontifer Zenestra and how effective it is her talking. In North Sanctuary, having marched through the hinterland of Great Beach and been arrived to the settlement of Trusbrick, that it's a cardinal point about the magic lines and a deposit of Ashtrashite, we can find that there are signs of tension that are due to the continuous arrival of survivors of the events of Trugg. And here you can find the paradox, where you can find Marshal Marcon that try to use the situation to boost its own fame and take back the command, while Pontifer Zenestra try to invite to come and prepare the defenses. And while Marshal Marcon is prepared to receive what he thinks being a small vanguard of the army, and discard under the guide of its own mages the possibility that Trugg could use the mage, even if the survivors say that Trugg can. And so we can find that Trugg, moving through the hinterlands and so on, accumulate more and more Ginskin, spiders, and trolls to follow him. It even smash against an army of Khorne, and it smash the Khorne army, literally. And you can find eventually the example in the image that it's quite intriguing about. And so here it resume Trugg the march toward Trusbrick. In Death and Disaster, it's a chapter that you could even call the hubris of Marshal Marcon, that after having deployed the troops in really optimal way, then it make itself fall for the hubris in the search of glory and bring its own army to be cleaned out from the Trugg forces. Only Marshal Marcon and little other ones are able to save themselves, and its own soldiers declare that it would have been better if he had met an honorable death on the battlefield. It's quite heavy as comment. And while Marshal Marcon is a broken man, it's Pontifer Zenestra to take the command and organize the defenses. And now had the fall of Trusbrick, with the defeat of Marshal Marcon at Mander's Crest and the loss of vital artillery batteries. It's then Pontifer Zenestra to command, and she decided to retreat to the most part of the crusade to the east through the Ember Passes. Marshal Marcon so decided, thanks to the Pontifer Zenestra, to redempt himself and together to other voluntaries to remain at Trusbrick and slow down the most that he can the enemy advance. So Marshal Marcon lead and resisted the night when at the strong point arrived Trugg. Marshal Marcon so sacrificed himself going against Trugg and literally making detonate all Trusbrick and destroy great part of the greenskin that were following Trugg and broke through the
Dawnbringer, and it's even able to make Trugg part of the explosion. Pontifex Nesta so continue to retreat toward the Amber Passes, but it's followed by the Greenskins, so she sent part of her forces to slow down the pursuers. Trugg emerged from the fired ruins of Dawnbringer, and together to some Troggos move toward the Dawnbringers. Pontifex Nesta so invoke the will, and it's able to push back momentary Trugg, and while the rear guard of the Dawnbringers attack the pursuers, the will descend and destroy the walls of the chasm entrance, so that it's able to create landslides that make all the forces under the earth, and both the rear guard and the pursuers. So the Dawnbringers, led by Pontifex Nesta, go toward the Ember's passes. Trugg, anyway, is able to raise again, wounded by the fire and the will, raised and without any target, but with a big headache that intensified, and so it's even still alive, even if it has made the smashing of Dawnbringer. So it has smashed this, but the headaches are continuing. In the action venture, we can see a summary of what are the perils of the environment about the twin-tailed crusade, so side Aqshy, that it's also called the Fire Crusade. And here it's interesting to see also the map and the doublons that there are, in which you can find other information that could be really quite intriguing about the crusade itself, and I suggest you to read them. In the Trugg King, we can find the background about Trugg, how it obtained the Arcan device that it's on his own back, how this Arcan device work, and how it's symbiotic with Trugg, and how it worked, this Arcan device, along the lethargy, the sleeping of Trugg, and how it works along the advance of Trugg along the realms. And in the front page, we can find also an article about Trugg, that it's the same cover of this Dawnbringer Crusade Book 2, but with a different background of the image. In the Ghyran Crusade, we can move our sight from the Crusade of the Aqshy part to the one of Ghyran, and we can note also the symbol of these pages that change. And here it's described the difference of the two crusades, so that if you see about Aqshy side, it's more based on the artillery, on the weaponry, while on the Ghyran side, because there are the side about the forest and so on, it's better to have a greater number of people to move on. And it's really quite intriguing also to see the box about the endless deluge, to have some referral about. To lead this expedition, there is Marshal Ishilla Torian, that it's characterized by a mentality that it's really cautious, and to accompany her, there is also a host of Storm Satanas of the Hallowed Knights, led by Knight Venator Turnus. The march is really quite soon blocked by the environment and from the rains. You have to remember that the Duel of the Rain that we see in the book 1 of the Dawnbringer Crusade is still continuing, and Alariel is not the one that it's winning such duel right now. And so there is also the first battle against the demons of Nargol that are guided by the great demon of Nargol, Trollorpax, that intercept the Dawnbringers, and at the end, this force of Nargol is pushed back, and the demon, the great demon, killed by the host of the Stormcast Eternas. In Oaks of War, the crusade continued through the wilds infested by Nargos to reach the edge of Dumarch. The targets its go to Fort Gardos. It's a military complex garrison by the Halloween Knight and Gardus Steel Soul. But while they are going to the Fort Gardus, they are intercepted by an army of Oruks on Mogrunta. And here, thanks to the military tactics of Marshal Torian and to the support of the Stormcast Thanos, they are able to redirect this army of the Oruks and reduce quite a lot the losses. But Marshal Torian immediately move toward and march toward the Fort Gardus and accelerate it. In Stomp of the Gargant, we can find the consequences of the happenings that we have found in the Realm Gate Wars when Sigmar has killed Behemoth. The Mega Gargant Brodd, that is one of the most intelligent and vindicative of the souls of Behemoth, using the energies that are brought from the era of the beast, decided so to assault Fort Gardus, that Brodd considered one of the representations of the symbols of the pride of Sigmar in Ghyran. So Brodd decided to destroy the settlements and strong points that are around Fort Gardus, so to force the Stormcast Eternals to hold on the position and so assault Fort Gardus and make that the Stormcast Eternals can't escape. To support the assault arrived also the Oruks that were tricked by the Dawnbringers and has followed the destruction caused by Brodd. In Wrath of the Forest, we have Brodd that move through the forest of Greenbark with its own army, smashing and trampling all the things that are around on its walking toward the Fort Gardus. The destruction called the vindictive Drika to the aid of the forest spirits, and Drika does not make any distinction about who it is the intruder, and so it attacked the Dawnbringers. But to prevent such battle through the Dawnbringers and the spirits of the forest, it arrived the messenger of Alariel, the Volsung Revenant Tetomir. In the box under, we can read also some talking about the different parts, so it can be really quite interesting. And I had to say that the marshal of the frigates are not so intelligent at the end. In Brutish Fury, we had that the assault of Brodd to Fort Gardus. Initially, it's not so successful. So, raging, Brodd start stomping, and the other Mega Gargant add themselves, creating a force that risk to break the defenses of the strong point that reach the limit. To break such balance are the Oruks that we were Wog with their own Mogrunta, break such delicate balance and are able to break the front gate of the strong points and enter in it. And they are really followed after by Brodd and its own Mega Gargant. In Fate of Fort Gardus, we had that in the first moments, even though there's been a breach, the defenders are still able to resist thanks to the support of the Dawnbringers and the Silvernet. But with the arrival of Brodd and the other Gargant, the Stormkeep is destined to perish. The Stormcast Eternals, together with the Caradon, decide to sacrifice themselves to slow down the advance of the Gargants, while the civilians and the Dawnbringers retreat. And using various tricks, Gardus is able to hit Brodd, but it's still killed along the process. And so it's not something that it changed quite a lot, because you have to remember what is the nature of a Stormcast Eternals, but the Stormkeep is lost. In Crusaders of Ghyran, it's explained about the war strategies applied by the Marshal Torian and the difficulties that the environment of Ghyran bring up. And it's interesting to see also about the doublons that you can see, because there are quite a lot of interesting information that could be quite useful. And it is also interesting to see the map about the part of Ghyran, where we can see the events of the crusade itself.
Here we can find the background related about the Oryx that are present in sprint. This one, for example, is the one that is going to add in the Ghyran version of the Crusade. And there are really quite a lot of things that it's quite interesting. Anyway, I like a lot such images. They are really fantastic ones because they are really quite an improvement. Here there is the background about the other realms and so on that are related, and it's quite interesting because it's about Gur, about Shaish. This is what happened to Hammer Aqshy when Vedra left the crusade to go back. So we can see here. It's interesting also this one eventually to read because it can be quite useful. Here we can see a sort of summary of what happened in the different crusades, so it can be quite nice. Here are images of miniatures and so on, but you can see them as a sort of representation of what happened along, so a sort of representation of the steps of the campaign, and I quite like such thing, sincerely. And here we have also the new models that has been brought with this book, and also with the bottom of the Horus, because has been released with this one. And I quite like because they are really quite inspiring, and I like such scenes that make you understand what happened along this book. Here the rules, and it's about Path to Glory, this part, and sincerely I suggest you to read because there are a tons of information in the middle of this one that make you really know better about such campaign. I like because you can understand what are the problems along the campaign, the crusade themselves, so it's really quite interesting. Here we have an algorithm how to play the campaign because it's really quite nice. You can really understand how you can develop them, and so it can be really quite intriguing part. So there are a lot of things to see about Path to Glory. There are obviously also the battle plans that, remember, you can eventually adapt to your own. So for Age of Sigmar normal ones as games using other armies and so on to play with. So it's always quite amazing. And this one are representing also the events that happen along the campaign itself. So I think that it's really quite intriguing to play with them, so it's really quite nice. Eventually you can adapt the campaign itself, and I think that you can gain quite a lot. And here there are official rules of the Army of Renown that you can play for Age of Sigmar. Remember that these should be the ones that should be also brought when these expire as book its validity, but they should be still brought in the official facts and so on. So we have here the Trugg's Trugg, so how you can play with Trugg and so bring up that, and here the rules to play with Trugg, and it's really quite intriguing to play with because you can really have a model that it's new, big and so on, and have an army of trolls. I quite like. This is about the Grunta Stampede, so the part related about the Oryx, so it's really quite intriguing to play with such. And here about such datasheets so that you can play with these ones as models. Remember that technically they should be the same that you can find in the Battleton of the Oryx, but not problem about because eventually you can use this one if you play the campaign and the official one. The rule can change as the points, so it's not something really quite important, but it's nice that there are so that you have an understanding of what it was supposed to play in the campaign itself eventually. So there are really quite a lot. You have almost an entire bottom of the Oryx here. Here you have this that is the background related about Brodd, and here you can almost sympathize as you had done before with Trugg with Brodd itself, because technically it has been really lied and betrayed by the Stormcast tenants, so it can be seen like that. So it's really quite intriguing to see, and I love such mod, it's amazing. And also there is the rules to play with the King Broods, because you have also to remember that you have to represent the rules, and it could be really quite intriguing. If you play about the Sons of Behemoth, I think that you can gain quite a lot of fun about. Here it is about the Dars, or better, about the Caradon Overlord that are participating in the Aqshy version of the Crusade, so it's quite intriguing. And here you have also the part related about the rules to play with them, so it's really quite complete about. And here obviously there are the points. About the points, I remember you that are what there are. So okay, there are, I'm quite glad about this, but it's not something that I'm quite crazy about. And then here there is the back, that it's the same agent that you were seeing at the beginning, and here the code that you can register on the Warhammer app, so that you can then make that you can have access to the different rules and so on. And here we have so this that it's the back. So what to say about such book? I think that it's really quite worth. There are tons of background, really. Even if you read and think that okay, there are a few pages and so on, there are a lot of rules, but even the rules has a lot of background. And really, the background itself, it's really quite intriguing, because you can interlace, link this one with the broken realm parts, with the realm gate wars, with the previous Dawnbringer book, one of the biggest, and they are really correlated, and I love such thing, because it means that you can progress and at the same time recall the other part of the background, or anyway you can focus and understand what happened there that has the consequence that after this. So it's really quite amazing one. I really suggest you to think about eventually try such one, because I told about the background but not everything, because you have also to understand that I want you to invite you to read such book, because if you simply think about okay, I know everything, it's not worth. I gave you some of the ideas, some of the background, but I left out a lot of little details, a lot of things, because I gave you the main parts, but it's quite worth to make a deeper read so that you can understand what it can bring up, because it's really quite a worth book in my opinion. So I'm really quite curious to see also the following ones, because there should be other 2 books in this year, and I'm really quite intrigued because I want to see what they can bring out, because this campaign it's really quite intriguing. Moreover, if you think about the Crusades, that here they seem to be half successful and half lost, and so you can't yet say which one will be the successful one or the lost one, because both the stronghold that should be the referral has been lost, and the Crusades themselves are moving by themselves to move to other parts and so on. So you can gain a stronghold technically, but you lost another one, or better other ones, because you have lost also other things related. So I think that you can think quite a lot about what you should appreciate about. It's really quite amazing book. So from that mode it's everything. I invite you to subscribe to the channel, to ring the bell so to receive notification about new video, to comment under here about this video, or if you want to suggest me new videos. So I hope to see you again to the next time.